Tonight's Sivrei Torah Liu Nishmas Chana Malka Bas Yoshua Tzvi Kohen Shama Zohar Ben Aliyah. The Parshas Achrei, as the avoda of Yom Kippurim is said in connection to the Misa of Bnei Aaron. And so Rashi already points out that Aaron's being warned. You keep in line and you won't die like your kids. Right? But of course we have to look for a tighter connection. Why the avodas Yom Kippurim and how the seder of how going lifnai v'lifnim is somehow related to Misas Aaron in general. There's two questions. Rashi says, on the pasuk Al Yava B'chol Eis HaKarsh. I guess we should really discuss the pasuk itself before we get to Rashi. Al Yava B'chol Eis HaKarsh. Do not come at any time to the Karsh HaKadoshim. Well, that's obviously not true. As per the continuation of the pasuk, Bezos Yav Aaron Al Kodesh. You could come in on Yom Kippur in a certain manner. So it violates Al Yava B'chol Eis. Never. Right? Never come at Karsh HaKadoshim. B'chol Eis is seemingly lav dafka, because there's Yom Kippur, when Bezos Yav Aaron Al Kodesh. Right? And the Sifrei is bothered by that. The Sifrei says something rather cryptic. B'chol Eis ze Yom Kippurim. All time is Yom Kippurim. We'll see if we have time to adequately explain that. But the pasuk goes on and says, Ki ba'anan era'el ha'kaparos. So Rashi says two pshatim over there. Rashi says the first pshat, because there's in a divine cloud, the Shekhinah is there, and that's why Al Yom B'chol Eis HaKodesh. Right? So that's Ki ba'anan, because I appear in a divine cloud there. That's why it's off limits. Right? That's the Pashup Pshat, says Rashi. Al Pi Drush, it's exactly the opposite. Ki ba'anan, but with the anan aktaris, with the cloud that comes out of the kataris, that's offered on Yom Kippurim. Ki ba'anan eroeh. With the cloud of the kataris, I could be seen. With the cloud of the kataris that the Kohen Gadol carries at Yom Kippurim, I couldn't. So you have an interesting point over here that the Pshat and the Drush, are saying polar opposite things. One saying, because there's the divine glory there, don't see me. No. Ki ba'ana, no, with the cloud of the Torah, you will see me. There's a very interesting conglomerate of topics in this parasha. Right? There's after the story of the account, or the directions of how the Seder of Avodah of Yom Kippurim, we talk about the Isser that was special for that generation. Right? That generation couldn't eat meat. They couldn't eat basar tava. They weren't allowed to eat meat as when they felt like it. They had to bring it as a carbon shlomim. Right? They had to, all meat that was to be consumed had to be offered up as a carbon shlomim. Otherwise, they're not allowed, it would be considered murder to kill the animal for food if it was not offered up that way. A special halacha for that generation. And then, after that, we get into the Isser Arayos, right? The prohibited relationships. Which relatives you can marry, which relatives you can't marry. And let's try to find the common thread between these topics. How to go into the Karsh is off limits, except you have to bring your meat, as a carbon shlomim, otherwise you can't eat it. And lastly, the forbidden relationships. Right? It's a very strange combination of topics. And that there's got to be some real relationship here, because what do we lane by Mincha? What we lane by Shachris and Yom Kippur is the first part of Parshas Achrei Mos, right? Because that's what's pertinent, because in those days, all those years ago, the Kohen Gadol would go into the Karsh Kadashim as per, how it's laid out in the Parsha. What do we read by Mincha? Parshas Arayos, we skip, the parsha of Shchutei Chutz, you have to bring everything as a carbon shlomim. We skip what's in the middle, and for Mincha on Yom Kippur, we lay in the end of the parsha, the Isser Arayos on Yom Kippur. Right? There has to be some type of integral connection between, particularly, Isser Arayos and the Avodah of Yom Kippur, if that's what we lay in by Mincha. So the Gemara says in Chagig, everyone knows the famous Gemara, it's a Mishnah, right, that talks about the levels of the secrets of the Torah. Right, very pertinent to discuss, because Lag Bomer's next week. That there's three areas of inquiry that are considered Sod HaTorah. Right? So of course, going from higher to lower, there's Ma'aseh Merkava. So the Mishnah says, Ma'aseh Merkava, you don't even learn it with one guy. You can only drop him buzzwords. If he gets it, he gets it. Right? You're not even allowed to explain it clearly and openly to even one person. If he's a chacham or mevin midaito, nemusilo roshe prakim. Right? Then there's a level of secrets. It's called masa bereshis. You could teach it, to one person at a time, not to two students. Right? And then there's another level of sod called arayos. Right? The forbidden relationships, and that you can only teach to two students at a time, not more. Right? And, the Mefarshim are bothered. What's so, the halachas of arayos is some type of secret that, has to be taught in small groups. That's a question that, the Mefarshim are bothered by, obviously. Maisa Bereshis, Maisa Merkava, secrets of creation, the secrets of divine providence. That's what the Merkava is about, how God is taking us somewhere. Right? That's how we understand. Those are the secrets of the Torah, and has to be taught in small groups, arayos. So the Maharal explains that the laws of the arayos is an outer layer of the which reflects a inner pattern that reality is set up in. Reality is a maze, right? There are a lot of blocks ahead of you that the physical eye can't see, and the map of how to navigate through the maze that is life is the halacha. It's not for naught. That halacha is milashon halichos om al tikra halichos halachos, how to walk, right? How to go through life, halacha, how to walk through life. Halacha is the map because the universe is stako bo raiso bara alma. HaKadosh Baruch Hu viewed the Torah, and the Torah was physical reality is fashioned through the Torah. That means all the laws of the Torah created real physical realities here. And there's a certain maze and pattern in reality that science can't measure, but it's a very real pattern. It's a real maze. And the way to navigate through the maze is halacha. The halachot, the particular halachot that are more, most parallel, that most depict, give the greatest hints that reality is set up as a maze, right, are the laws of arayos, right? That, the interesting irony, those closest to you, you're not allowed to marry, right? That one that's further away from you, you could marry. That one, yes, and this one not, even though the genetic difference between this type of relative, that type of relatives is the same. They're both equally genetically distant, right? But that's the maze that reality is. The laws of arayos are the biggest giveaway to the internal maze, the internal pattern that there is in reality that the eye can't see. Like the laws of arayos depict that the most. That those who are closest to you can't marry, and those who are equally distant from you, one you can marry, one you can't marry, and one you could marry under certain conditions. You can't marry your wife's sister in her lifetime, even if she divorced her, right? Even if you divorce again, if she drops dead, you can, right? And you can never marry your brother's wife, except b'makom yibum. Right? Then it's even a mitzvah. Right? Reality is a complicated maze. The laws of arayos are indicative of the maze that is reality, which explains why halacha is so necessary, because reality is not as simple as it seems. It's a maze, and halacha is the map how to get through. A very quick anecdote regarding this. There was a big Rosh Hashiva, and passed away not too long ago, Rav Abba Berman. My Rosh Hashiva, Rav Yaakov Weinberg, held he was the lamdan of the door. Right? So he used to tell, I heard from his Talmud, he used to tell a story that when he was a yeshiva bacher back in Eastern Europe, the yeshivas in Eastern Europe, there were plenty of apikorsim there. Right? It's the famous what Chassidim talk about, the Litvish apikoros. Right? The guys used to write the Chidushei Torah and the Shurim on Shabbos. There was a certain genre, there was a certain type of guy that was quite prevalent in the pre-war Europe. So he had a vikuach with one of these guys, one of his fellow yeshiva students. He said, Abba, it's crazy, right? For a cigarette, you'd kill a person, a cigarette on Shabbos. What's a cigarette? What's a cigarette? You smoke a cigarette, you're going to put a guy to death by stoning. It can't be. What's a cigarette? So he asked him, what's a little bit of arsenic? Little bit of arsenic. Little pinch of arsenic. You take some arsenic, you drop dead. Why? It's just a little bit of arsenic. The answer is there's tremendous power in nature, right? Okay, nature is very potent. There's a lot of energy in nature and the laws of Teva. And Torah is even bigger than nature. So, of course, a violation of a halacha could kill you, right? Just like a little bit of arsenic could kill you, right? But divrei pi chacham chen is a very, very beautiful idea, right? So the maze that is halacha, the blocks that halacha, tells us are there, and we have to go around, and there's only a certain route that you could go with, those blocks are really dangerous if you want to hit them head on. But that's not the main point of what halacha is about. It's not just to to warn you about the minefield that there is in reality, and this is how you get through the minefield. It's much more than that. Halacha is how to walk where. Halichos how to get to Olam Haba. What's Olam Haba? Dveikus in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now here's the problem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is infinite, right? See, if you run 1,000,000 miles, right, you're never any closer, right? Because the infinite is infinitely away. So no matter how close you try to get, you're not one iota closer if you're dealing with infinite. Do you understand the problem? Right? So halacha is supposed to take us, the destination of halacha. It sort of warns us about the minefield that there is in Olam Hazeh, and the arayas are the halachas that are the biggest signposts that indicate Olam Hazeh is a minefield, and there's a certain way through the maze. But the goal is to get to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're not any closer, right? No matter how much effort you put in, because He's infinitely away. So what's the answer to that? Right? The answer to that is, right, that the fact that we constrain ourselves to stick to the plan, to stick to the program, to stick with the map, in the schus, that we constrain ourselves and restrict ourselves to the map, it's actually that self-restriction that's what catapults us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not so much what we do, because what we do is finite, and we want to have a relationship with the infinite. How could the finite ever reach the infinite? You know what deserves a relationship with the infinite? Right? It's not so much what you do. It's what you held yourself back from doing. That you say, I'm mevato my rotzen, to rotzen Hashem. That bit to our rotzen, putting my rotzen aside for His rotzen, that's what gives me the license to approach Him. Right? That's the way that the being mitzamtzim yourself to the plan, right? Holding back on what you feel like doing and only doing it His way. That's what takes you there. Right? Because really it's impossible to get to HaKadosh Baruch Hu if not for the fact that He miraculously allows for it. And in what merit do you get that miraculous connection? That you're finite, you have a connection with the infinite. You can bato ritzoncha mipnei ritzono, you're mevato your will in favor of what He wants. In that merit, you cling to Him. So the main thing about what halacha, how it brings us to the infinite, is how we restrain our own ritzonos to only live by the halacha. That act of being mevatel our rotzen in favor of the Rebbe Shalom's rotzen, that's what gives us contact with the infinite. Right? So an amazing thing, going back to the beginning of the parsha, the inyan of walking into the Kodesh HaKadoshim represents being lifnei Hashem. That Yom Kippur is a day that's mamish olam haba for just 24 hours. You're lifnei Hashem titaro. What it says, lost in love. What's olam haba? Tzeikim yoshvim, va'atrosem barosheyan, v'nenim miziv ashchina. The whole olam haba is to sit before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? As panecha Hashem avakesh. That's what we have on Yom Kippur. Lifnei Hashem titaro. And also when we say vidui, as the Losh Haram, chayav lisvados lifnei akel baruch Hu, it's all the act of doing tshuva and the metzius of Yom Kippur is to be lifnei Hashem, and that was represented by going into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Al yavo b'cholis HaKosh. You know it's be'etzim impossible to go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim? It's equally impossible on Yom Kippur as it is every. It's never naturally possible to be lifnei Hashem. Never. Never natural. So al yavo b'cholis, including Yom Kippur. Right? It's never naturally possible to approach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You always remain finite. He always remains infinite. Yom Kippur included. Aber bezois yavo aron HaKodesh. Right? Bezos yavo aron HaKodesh. Because you do it my way, that's how you could go in. Right? Because you're mitzamset to do it my way. And that was the mistake of the Bnei Aaron. And we explained this a couple of weeks ago. They wanted a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They wanted to be lifnei Hashem, but they didn't have patience. They did They want to do it their way, not the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu said. The way to do it is by being mitzamtzmit to do it Hashem's way. And with that, we understand that the pshat and the remez of the pasuk do not contradict. Right? Kiba anan erel kapores. You can never come in because the Shekhinah is there. The anan, that represents that was a manifestation of the infinite power. You can't come in ever. Right? Second pshat. Kiba anan, but with the anan of the Taurus, when you do it my way, right? You do it with the anan, eroi, then you could see me, right? And it's not contrary. You do things my way. You're mevatel, you're rotzen to do it my way. I'll take you to me, right? You want to do things your way, it'll never be possible. And this is the tikkun, right? For the chet of Bnei Aaron, they wanted to be lifnei Hashem, right? But they wanted to do it their way. They didn't have patience to do it the proper way, right? But the avodah of Yom Kippurim is, this is the proper way to do it. You're being mitzamtzimit to do it my way and not your own way. And this is how the parsha ends off. And this is why it's specifically, we don't have time to discuss shchutei chutz now, right? But in particular, what we lane, Yom Kippur, by mincha time. We jump from the first parsha, for the first sugya of how to go into the Kodesh Kodashim, to the end of the parsha. We read Arayos, right? Because Arayos reinforces this idea, like we explained, right? That the universe is set up in a very particular way, right? There's no straight approach to the infinite. But if you do it, you acknowledge that it's a maze, and you're mitzamtzim yourself to the maze, you will be lifnei Hashem. And that's how Achrei Mos and Kedoshim merge. Rashi speaks about things of Parshas. Achrei Mos ends off with Yisar Arayos. And then next Parshas opens Kedoshim Tiyu. So what does Rashi say on that? Kol makom shata motze geder erva shamata motze kedusha. Wherever a person is godur barais, he holds himself back. He's mevatel his rotzen to the rotzen of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's where kedusha happens. That's where kedusha manifests. Kedusha means the beyond. How do you reach the beyond? We're here. How do you get beyond? You live with geder erva. You accept upon yourself that there is amazing reality, and you're mevatel your rotzen to live according to Rebbe Shalom's map. That bittul harotzen, that I'm not going to do it my way, I'm going to do it his way, and I'm going to live by his map, that's where you merit kedusha, and that's how you merit to be omed lifnei Hashem, and that's the message as Yom Kippur is going out, mincha time. You always want to be lifnei Hashem, not just this. You want to hold on to this special day. Makom shata motze geder erva, keep geder erva, hold back on your taivas and live according in a merit. You're mevatel your rotzen to his rotzen, you'll find kedusha, you'll be lifnei Hashem your whole life.